Welcome everyone to the 16th private business meeting of the University Philosophical Society's 341st session and our annual honorary members debate. It's lovely to see all of you here. Thank you very much for coming. With all that said, I'm going to hand it to our registrar, Fionn Graham, to read the minutes from last week's private business meeting. Here.
Fáilte, we have cocktail on Sean Nucklin. We want to warmly welcome our fantastic honorary members who will be joining us in a second, and alumni for joining us tonight for what promises to be a very exciting debate. Last week we held a debate that this house would take him back. The opposition speakers in the Phil won the night against the phenomenal Improv She Wrote debaters. Next week, in collaboration with the Elizabethan Subcommittee, we will be hosting a debate that abortion is never a men's issue, so we highly recommend you join us for that. We have just 2 more debates after this week, before reading week, and then on Monday the 9th of March we will have an extra debate that will be super exciting. For the first time in the Phil, we'll be signing in an Irish translation of our constitution, which we're very looking forward to. We will have some incredible guests joining us for that evening, and we would especially ask honorary members to come and partake in the signing. We will have some incredible trad live music joining us after, debating the motion, this house believes Ireland has failed its culture. Now, but more importantly, right now folks, we have a very exciting motion. This house would make all the same mistakes. And a fantastic array of speakers are here to join us for the debate. So, Gurmila, Fáilte Gachtain agus Tona Nodi Creekna. Thank you very much.
Madam Treasurer, are there any fines?
There are no fines.
Madam Secretary, are there any reports to be read?
There are no reports to be read.
The time for questions is now open.
Madam Secretary, are there any motions on notice?
There is one motion on notice from Karen, our secretary.
So I hope you all had a chance to try the delicious spread we had brought to us by Tula. If you didn't, don't worry, they'll be dishing out a burrito and a drink for just €10 when you tell them that you're a member of the Phil. You can get this at their location in Lower Bagot Street and Temple Bar, so go show them some love and get yourself a burrito.
Secretary, are there any motions not on notice?
There are no motions not on notice.
Time for questions is now closed.
That brings us to general business. If there are any general business from any of our members, there being none, I call this private business meeting to a close and call on Madam Secretary to get the speakers for tonight's debate. You're here.
It is my genuine pleasure to welcome back an array of the Phil's finest who have come back to join us tonight. They will tell you firsthand that the Phil is not just a building, but it's also its people. Folks, people change, and opinions on them shift. Noam Chomsky, for example. I never used to like that guy. Aaron Table and xoxo Sports Show debating that they would make all the same mistakes. We have 3 fantastic Dini Honor or honorary members. We have, starting, former registrar and my predecessor, assistant principal at the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, Fáilte Olvor Riv, David Barrett. We have with us former senior member of council from 2014 who is now digital communications manager at the Green Party, Fáilte Olvor Machida Hulle Dun Brennan Nolan. And then Agduna Aaron Tavesha, former vice president of the Phil in 2015, now senior regulatory advisor at the Air Grid Group, Bula Bus. Bula Bus O'Sword of Hannah Beresford. Aaron Tavella Gwynna on Teddle arguing that they would not make all the same mistakes. We have from the current Phil members, we have registrar of the Elizabethan Subcommittee, Fáilte Riv Teresa Askerbeck. We have Teresh Glenn on dinner show. We have finalists from the 12 mock trial, publisher of International Policy Review at IE University and member of the Phil, Bunabus Os Ord Riv Cathy Wan. And then we have Pro Secretary and Registrar of... No, my bad. Registrar of the Ujoma Subcommittee, the wonderful Brendan Ryan. I'm so sorry. I call you both Registrar. Sorry. I'm sorry. Now, this isn't a great example of this, but the way we treat others matters. So that's poor timing. But the way we show in good faith some amount of respect and restraint to one another that matters. The greatest mistakes that we make, and have all made, have likely been in moments that we forgot that, when someone else at a given time seemed to matter, or something else at a given time seemed to matter so much more. Those mistakes, when addressed and healed, have the power to bring us together in a way far deeper than before, but if left unturned, they have only the power to scar. None of this is new or original. Respect and restraint, they're easily said words, but in their absence, in each and every one of our mistakes, they have an effect that is unique and is uniquely felt. It is impossible to know if every mistake that we have made was necessary in bringing us to this exact point. It is impossible to know if every mistake by others was necessary in getting us to this point. The question to each of you is, would you remove those mistakes, making perfect your own journey, if it risked, even slightly, butterflying away the path that brought you here? If it risked in any way butterflying away the path that brought others here? Would you gamble this present if it allowed you to polish away pain? Or would you go through everything, have mistakes happen to others and to you as they have, if it would bring you and every person sitting here in this wonderful present, in this stunning, stunning room, in this beautiful, freezing Irish evening, surrounded by ancient artifacts, no offense, in a society that, from the bottom of my heart, I hope has brought you all as much joy as it has brought me. In this society and in this college, as we continue to mistake and be mistaken, respect and restraint will not be easy. They will not always be at the tip of our tongue. But when they are not, let them at least be a lump in our throat, a nagging itch only scratched by coming together, just as we are now, and being as best we can, good to each other. It is a joy to have you all here, Gnair and Tolov, Gurmina Malgriv, and we can let the debate begin. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, welcome to the University Philosophical Society. The motion that stands before the House tonight is this House would make all the same mistakes. Standing orders are as follows. At the first and last minute, speeches are 7 minutes long and 10 minutes long for our guest speakers. At the first and last minute of every speech, which will be signified by a bell, speakers and audience members are open to giving points of information. We're going to try something new with this debate, and at the end of the final opposition speaker, the House will be open to taking floor speeches. Our regular members are not used to this, so if you're interested in providing a floor speech, I advise you to get writing. We prioritise dignity and respect at all of our debates, and if you hear something this tonight that you take issue with, our senior member of council, Rossa Bolger, is there in the corner. He'll be available at the post-debate reception and at our afters. Alternatively, I can be contacted at president@TCD Phil. And last but not least, we prioritise audience participation at all of our debates. So if you hear something you like tonight, you can shout hear, hear, or slay. And if you hear something you disagree with, you can shout shame. With all that said, I'd like to open the debate and call on David Barrett to open the case for the proposition. Hear, hear.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen of the University Philosophical Society, ladies and gentlemen, many things have changed, including the orientation of this room. This is very, very weird. I don't know how you cope with actually looking at the balcony. Like, it's going to collapse on you at any minute. So, just so you're aware. So, I'm here to propose the motion that this House would make all of the same mistakes. So, yes. That includes all mistakes. That includes every single mistake that we have ever made throughout our lives. It doesn't matter how embarrassing, how stupid, how monumental, how inconsequential those mistakes could be. Those mistakes could be as simple as signing up to this debate when you didn't know how long you had to speak. So, those mistakes could be like wearing this bow tie. Those mistakes could be that I did that trip to Egypt with just me, my boyfriend, and my friend who mysteriously showed up and appeared in my hotel and said "Hi guys, I'm here now." So that really did happen. It was very strange. So I'm going to argue this in three ways, and this is sort of. I know that's a pretty classic approach, but I was also born around the time that bronze was a newly discovered invention. So So I'm going to argue that the mistakes shaped the man, original, I know. I'm going to argue about the importance of self-love and embracing all of our imperfections rather than the other type of self-love. I'm also going to argue that mistakes make for the best and probably most entertaining stories that we can reasonably tell. On to the first point. So please, I don't have enough material, so please feel free to interrupt me at any point. So essentially, we are all the products of all of our actions. We are all the products of all of the good things we've done. We are also all of the products of just pretty much anything we've done, right? Like when individual people are born, when they come into the world, they are largely just a sort of like hopefully crying rather than silent and dead bundle of genes. Largely a blank slate. So what makes us distinctive from that point is the choices that we make. So these can be good choices. These can be like saying hi. These can be saying hi to people. These can be like actually studying for your exams. These can be like going to that maiden's final and disregarding the terrible feedback you received. But they can also be like pretty poor. And each one of those also shapes your experiences. Your experiences are not just I had this fabulous gourmet meal. They're also the time that you hideously burnt toast somehow, and you also had to eat it because you had no money. This is also the time that like you step on that Lego piece and have to cope with the inexplicably large amount of pain that gives you. It's also the time you accidentally shave your head in Morocco and have to pretend not to be a skinhead for like at least 6 months. Again, that really happened. My French isn't very good. It was a bad time in my life. But these mistakes, both good and bad, allow us innovation. They allow us to grow. They allow us to become people that will enable us to make different mistakes, hopefully better mistakes, and allow us to innovate and become people that at least have grown to the point that the mistakes that they make will have correspondingly larger consequences and therefore will result in like people dying or like losing their livelihoods. We're all adults now. So that's terrifying. But nonetheless, the small mistakes you've made allow you to reach a point that you learn enough that you can hopefully avoid those and minimize the ones that do happen, and that is a product of your experience and product of your mistakes. The second point that I was going to make is sort of the importance of I've written here self-love, but what I largely mean is of embracing the imperfections that mistakes create, and this is sort of includes embracing all aspects of our past, however much we may like or dislike them. They are part of the things that shape us and part of the things that make us the flawed, exciting, wildly inappropriate people that we are today. So this means accepting the sort of like detours that we make and sort of trusting that the point that we are at now, we don't know what was the truly important decision that led us to that. We don't know which person we talk to is going to open that door, if we will even ever know that. We don't know the time that you like decided to like randomly read a classics book and quote that person turned out to actually stupidly impress somebody and get you into school. Again, that did happen. And this means accepting that these things, good and bad, are led us to our own individual experience. It also means that repeating mistakes and becoming and accepting that you are a person that repeats mistakes is not just like madness, although it is madness, but it's also a sign of a kind of courage, right? Like to keep trying, because it's the only real way that you know how to do that you know how to do things, and you know that it's something that you need to do. There is something kind of brave in that, and it's important that that is acknowledged and adhered to. It's also, I'll pick that up in a minute. So it's also slightly less positively a sign that we are human, in the point that not just like we're all like special and magical snowflakes, but also that we are people, and we don't like to admit that we are wrong. So, just for my own pride, I'm going to continuously buy that terrible whiskey because I said I liked it once. So, and this applies to also more serious things as well. We will repeat the same mistakes until it becomes untenable for us not to. That's just the way we are built. And if we like our shared humanity and our shared set of experiences and flaws that make us all, hopefully, interesting, not AI chatbot people to talk to, is valuable and useful to us. I don't remember this podium being quite so steep. So finally, I'm not even sure this podium was here then. I've really here that long ago. Finally, I want to talk about mistakes as essentially anecdotes, as exciting things that you get to tell to your friends, and indeed people that you actually hate and really want to bore. So I'm just going to toss it out there that most people don't start stories with their friends or family with a sentence like, "Gather round, one and all, for I have yet another set of absolutely perfect, well-reasoned decisions that I've made." Who starts a story like that? What we want is chaos, madness. What we want is to embrace the fact that this person is somehow even more foolish than me. What we want is when the secretary invited the vaginal rejuvenation guy to speak to a debate. We want mistakes like that. So, like, I've been told that they were meant to come to the following week. So due to the fact that I am choosing to embrace every single thing wrong with me, due to the fact that I can expect my fellow people whose mistakes I know full well because I remember them. I was here a long time. So I urge you to propose. Thank you.
Brendan O'Nolan to continue the case for the proposition. Here.
Ladies and gentlemen of the University Philosophical Society, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be back. It is a stunning honour to follow David, who laid out a really simple schema for you all, as any good first prop does, which I'll be borrowing heavily from. So I think that David said that the mistakes make it the man. I wholeheartedly disagree with this point, so we won't be getting into that. For me, we're all made before in like the Big Bang, and then this is happening, and so forget about the mistake. But the joy of that is, of course, both of those points, whichever side of that side you take, that's our point. His second point, of course, was that, falling in love with your mistakes is a way of practicing self-love. And he alluded to another type of self-love, which was also alluded to by the subsequent speaker. I won't allude to that type of self-love in my speech, and in our day, we did not. So some things are changing, and that's fantastic. I wanted to focus more primarily on David's third plank of his case, and I want to make that much more robust, and that's stories. Mistakes cause the best stories. So we have a collection of stories here that vaguely represents the people sitting in this direction. I'm going to try to keep names out of it, but I have a history of failing to do so. One of these stories is about me, so if you think any of them are particularly embarrassing, that might be the one, of course. Right, yeah, so importantly, we can't tell you all of the mistakes we made and all of the amazingly fantastic stories, because if we do, then you won't be able to make those same mistakes yourself. And it's a very clever debate that the Secretary has designed to try to trap the proposition from not being able to say anything at all. Because if I say to you, don't, I can't even say it, because then you're forewarned and forearmed. So I've actually done a lot of study. I haven't been in the records, but I've been talking to people about what are some mistakes that we made that you cannot possibly make again, so it's okay for me to share them with you. So the first of those is, I propose that we do again if the opportunity arises, but it won't. Make a Facebook event for Raising and Giving Week entitled X Won't Wipe for Rag Week. Now, that's a fine thing to share with you because you guys are on TikTok or WhatsApp, etc. You don't have the amazing facility of a Facebook event that you can invite the entire first and second year of the entire university to, introducing them to X as someone who won't be wiping their bottom for that week. But these are the sort of mistakes you should be making. Another mistake, which sadly I don't believe you'll be able to make, is to share this beautiful chamber with Mr. Nice, Howard Marks. I'm not sure how many of us were there when Mr. Marks was here. He's better known as Mr. Nice. He was the world's most famous drug dealer after Pablo Escobar for about a decade. And he spent a long time in various prisons. He got out of them. He sold drugs. He gave some people who are here in attendance tonight drugs. And they spoke at a debate for him. The motion was this house would get high. About half of the house was already high. It was like a social science experiment. It was a very interesting day. He later told us, and this is just a piece of knowledge that I want to pass on, that he's tried everything, but the craziest high he ever had was just before falling to sleep, he would put nicotine patches on his arm. He's done it all. To take your studies very seriously, pardon me, I believe that has become more and more the case here in the Phil, and there's a really thriving culture of academic excellence. That's delightful. Sometimes if you... it's not necessarily universal, and in our days, people said, too many people are going to university, so if that doesn't apply to you, don't worry. The final story I sort of wanted to share with you is, try to avoid doing repeats because your summers are so important to you, and also because repeats actually are the most stressful of exams. So somebody here had done their repeats and they had nailed them, and they had left in such a triumphant mood that they decided to go to Electric Picnic, which is why I'm allowed to tell you this story, because that festival doesn't exist anymore. It's not cancelled. This was at Body and Soul. Yeah. That's gone. All right, yeah. Great. Yeah, so at Body and Soul, this triumphant student who'd nailed their repeats, or maybe not, I'm not sure. But they decided to wear white pants, white shirt, white everything, which I'm actually wearing an homage to. And they had some of the stash left over from Mr. Nice. And they were just so extremely stressed and so extremely ecstatic and so extremely dressed in white that, I don't want to refer back to these sort of white expulsions. It was much browner in this situation. Anyway, So the point there is study hard. And then the last one is, when the Phil comes under pressure from outside forces, they're looking and they're saying, what are you guys doing in there? Is there any value in that? Why am I paying for you to drink wine? All that politics comes in. The Phil needs to stick together. It's why we've been here for 340 years. So this is a final one we can share with you, because are the Kaiser Chiefs still culturally relevant to any of you? I don't think they were. I don't think they were at the time. Two of us, myself included, I guess, on this one, were representing the Phil debate in a game show against the players. And we had the winning question was, what is my favorite band? And for some godforsaken reason, Andrew, who was playing with me, guessed Franz Ferdinand, which are a fine, also pretty bad band. And I had no fixed answer. There was no answer I'd given to the game show host before. All I had to do was say yes. So that's a mistake I don't want any of you to repeat. If you're up against players in a tie-breaking question, you just lie in that situation and say, yes, it's Franz Ferdinand. Right, yeah, so there's also, just in general with thinking about mistakes, and I'll leave you with this, is that it's really difficult to know when something was a mistake. Like, very, very difficult to know. And you can change your opinion multiple times over time. You can say, oh, that was quite a bad mistake. Oh, actually, that wasn't that bad. It was really nice because I ended up getting to debate with Hannah. Oh, no, it's so bad because then she made me look so bad. You never really know, as time progresses, how you're going to position yourself relative to a decision you made. And also, as time progresses, the amount of information you had to make that decision is going to change. In retrospect, you're not going to have a clear position on how much information you had to it ever. There's no perfect position as you oscillate around it. It's really tricky. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the simple reasons that either the Big Bang happened and we're all here anyway, or mistakes make it the man. And for the stories, and also for the sheer ambiguity of, where are you going to end up otherwise? This house would make the same mistakes. I
would like the speaker for a very fine speech. I'd like to call on Cathy Wan to continue the case for the opposition. Here you go.
Guys, oh my god. Okay, here we go. The greatest writer and poet of the 21st century. You guys probably won't know her. I recall, and I quote, Billie Eilish, just kidding, but she did say, if I knew it all then, would I do it again? Would I do it again? This evening, I'm here before all of you to discuss why the House would not make all the same mistakes. I decided to address this topic in a light-hearted manner today. But here's the thing. Last Sunday, I received this email from Matilda asking me if I want to speak today. I skimmed at the motion, and I was like, amazing topic. I have so many personal anecdotes to talk about. But then I saw the daunting word, opposition. At the time, my excitement turned into a sudden deep thought. When have I not made the same mistakes? More than once, twice, or thrice. Is that even a word? I don't know. In what period of time in my life have I not been yelled by my mom, you forgot to lock the door again? In what period of time in my life have I not seen a big red mark on my maths exam? 6, 7, careless mistakes again. I'm so sorry. But I do remember, why the fuck should I make the same ones when I can make new ones? Why would I go back to the same guy over and over again, DMing me with disappearing messages function on Instagram? Lame, I know. Sorry. So basically, you scroll up, and there would be like a function that has like this.
then when you like disable it, the message disappears. Does that clear it for you? Yeah, okay. So he'd be saying, Kathy, I think I'm still in love with you. Mind you, that was like 2 years after I left the fucking country. Wait a minute. I wrote something else. Note to self. Don't actually say this. Your Asian parents are watching and they will ask you. Well, it's fine. That's why I say find a new person, make a new mistake. Going back to the same person is like watching a movie you already hated the first time, hoping the ending have changed. Like, oh my God, I can fix him this time. If he's changed, we have matured, it will work out this time. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. As humans evolved throughout the centuries, we have learned from our mistakes. A caveman learned that a bright red mushroom was poisonous, so he refrained from cooking it in a pot of food to feed his children. The Victorian decorators obsessed over a shade of green, which contained massive amounts of arsenic, and it was used in clothing, artificial colors, or even candies, oh God. In 1860s, they finally stopped using the paint after 140,000 people died from arsenic poisoning. Like, no shit, Sherlock. Before sugar was so expensive, people who couldn't afford sugar would actually paint their teeth black to look rich. People were thinking tooth decay to look like they had old money. So don't make the same mistakes again, or you look like an outdated dumbass bitch. Be on trend. We need evolutions. We need new dumb shit to be fed into our brain-rotted minds. So go on and make new stupid mistakes. Don't go kissing your side chick at a Coldplay concert. That's boring. We have seen it 1 billion times. And especially don't be like sending redacted emails over and over again and end up being in redacted files. I don't know. Make more creative, more fun, and more original mistakes. Don't be like the on-members like prop side today, reminiscing all the old times, like getting nostalgic, looking at the signature book upstairs in the full council, wishing they had done more, wishing there had been more original, making more new mistakes in their youth, which was probably like, a centuries ago? Don't be like them. Be like us. Surprise people. Be unpredictable. Be fun. Be the life of the party. Sorry, guys. This is just like when I was writing the Cyprus paper for my IE International Policy Review. My lovely editor, Sanya, from Madrid, went hell and back to fix my mistakes. She commented, and I quote, "Monstrous paragraph, rewrite, please, I'm dying." You know, I'm keen to believe that seeing my wonderful writing really adds so many colors to her life. But she'll never know what bullshit she's getting next, and it's exciting, isn't it? If all the mistakes are just me misspelling the Cypriot president's name, which I'm not going to attempt pronouncing tonight, it would have been beyond boring. The thing is, making new mistakes allow you to know what you fuck with and what you don't fuck with also. At the very beginning of my month in Trinity, I visited every single freshers stand possible. I joined the Phil and some sports societies and probably many, many more that I've paid membership fee but I forgot about. So, I'm not gonna roast the societies that I'm in, but let's just say I made some mistakes joining some and found out that the others I fucked with more. If I continue to going to those societies event, I will firstly don't know what I actually like, but I just know that I'm so damn shit at football. Secondly, making the same mistakes over and over again and staying in the same place that doesn't give me the reward or fulfillment I need. So, oh, and a little side note. I've learned that the Phil is so cool, guys. Now, next time if you decide to reinstall Hinge, Hinge is like like a dating app, I think. Think again. Think of how every single person on here, both male and female, by the way, poses with the same side-on biceps muscles flexed in the front of the dim light gym mirror. Oh, and never cut your bangs by yourself again. I remember when I was 15 or something like that. You could say maybe I was too bored, maybe I was trying to adopt a new personality. I decided to take matters in my own hands. I took my regular kitchen scissors, stood in front of the sink, and chopped away. Let's just say I had to clip my hair for at least half a year. I really looked like Edna Mode from The Incredibles. So next time, maybe try like a pixie cut. We're coming towards the end of my speech, which I've probably enjoyed every moment up here talking to you. My last word to you is, don't make the same mistake again. Don't start doing essays a night before the deadline. Don't delude yourself into thinking you're actually gonna make the 9 a.m. class. Be original, be the unpredictable, avoidant, unstable, whatever queen you are. Be experimentative, try more things. The more you fuck around, the more you learn and the more you grow. If I knew it all then, I would not do it again. I would not do it again. Thank you.
We thank the speaker for that very fine speech. A reminder that following our closing proposition, opposition speakers will be opening the House to Floor speeches. I'd like to call on Hannah Beresford to close the debate for side proposition. Here.
Doug, it's great to see you. Well, it is incredibly sweet to be lectured by a group of people who presumably decided to come to Trinity because they watched Normal People. Being lectured by people who made their university decisions based on a TV show that was based quite literally on the people you are currently sitting in the room with. It is lovely, to be honest, to be back here and to see that though some things are different, most things are entirely the same. You still have random debating lads beginning their speeches talking about Noam Chomsky. A yum thai, pad thai, which I had this evening for the first time in about a decade, still tastes mostly of neutral oil. Though it now costs £9 because I am, spoiler, no longer a student. But then some things, of course, are different from our day back in the ancient mists of time when we were licking arsenic and painting our teeth black, which is, I think, a slight misunderstanding on the part of the last speaker about what exactly the passage of time means. As we've alluded to, we had Facebook events. You don't literally even have Facebook. That is a place for your grandparents to become radicalised to the far right. But for us, it was a place where we thought we were cataloguing all of the mistakes that we made on every particular night out that would one day ruin all of our respective careers, our political ambitions. As I think you can see from this side of the house, that has not happened. I do get to be in charge of all the pylons that make the electricity go around the place. And every one of you that went, huh, when they said the name Airgrid, you should be more grateful for the fact that the lights are still on. Mail, which some of us referred to, that's what you use to get your vintage packages delivered, where you are buying our old clothes at massively marked up prices and calling them vintage. It is incredibly funny to be in a room where you are literally wearing all of the same stuff that we were wearing about 12 years ago, because that is, at this stage, how these things cycle around. You know, a lot of what we've heard from side opposition is that some mistakes, we shouldn't make them because it's just really, really hard to live with the consequences. Some things you look back and you really wish you hadn't done it. And I would say to that you just haven't really been alive long enough yet to stop caring about the impact of those particular mistakes. I know it's really hard to believe it, but at whatever age you are now, which I think is maybe about 11, you simply don't have enough perspective on the things that you have done, the things that seem like massive errors. It's funny, I remember, my time in the Phil, as I think anyone who remembers it, which is this front row here, was, I think, a catalogue of errors. I was the vice president, so I was running the maidens competition. Mistake number 1. You don't want to have to sit and listen to that many people who are not very good at debating yet talk at you, sometimes endlessly, and sometimes even worse, for the most terrifying 30 seconds of their little 18-year-old life. I took this enormously seriously. Clearly, running a debating competition for people 12 months younger than me was the most sacred duty anyone could possibly be handed. And I proceeded to go entirely fucking mental for the next 4 months. There were various low points at one stage, and one of the few times I made it to a tutorial up on the 4th floor of the arts block. I think it was the 4th floor, who knows how many floors that place had. I woke up outside the room where I was supposed to be doing the tutorial to the TA standing over me with a cup of tea and a purple snack bar because he had found me asleep up there. Couldn't wake me, so went downstairs to get the tea and then came back up and was like, I really think you should go home. And I instead went back to the council room and continued planning the debates for the following week for all of those ungrateful freshers. As my physical and mental decline unrolled over the next few months, I literally started to sort of change physically, like a sort of a terrifying fairy tale. And I wish that this was that I kind of had bags under my eyes. Oh no, I was a gremlin, a true gremlin. The worst of this was when I developed a boil on my face that was genuinely the same size as my very large nose. But I felt that I couldn't actually do anything about this. One, because I am from the countryside and I do think most ailments go away if you leave them alone long enough. But secondly, I couldn't possibly go to the doctor because I, of course, you know it, had to judge 4 maidens' debates that day. And then it was a Thursday and I was speaking. So I decided that I would speak. And fortunately, our pro-librarian at the time thought it was very important, potentially so they could show it to the hospital later, that they take lots of photos of me and my boil, and you can mostly just see the boil. When I eventually went to the doctor 2 days later and was put on an incredibly intensive course of antibiotics, and the doctor asked, "Why on earth have you let it get this far?" And I looked at her in sheer confusion and was like, "We ran 30 maidens rounds this week." And amazingly, she did not think that that was all that important. My time on full council genuinely saw me being, I think, and a lot of the time, a kind of unfun person to be around. And I'm grateful to the people in the room who stuck with me through that frankly incredibly annoying and intense period and kind of came out the other end. I'm particularly grateful to the person who ran against me in the secretary election and thus saved me from what I can only imagine would have been a catastrophic nervous breakdown if I had continued to be on full council the year after. But really, those were mistakes that I genuinely did have to make. I had to not attend any lectures in second year and do the entirety of my constitutional law exam just with the Constitution, reading it for the first time. Because if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have worked way fucking harder in third year to try to salvage what was left of my degree. I had to figure out that just because some people think debating is important does not mean that that will in any way translate into the real world. I also had to learn that sometimes you kind of have to be the worst version of yourself for a little bit, literally covered in boils, like something from the Old Testament, to allow your friends to sort of gently sit you down and be like, it's maybe time that you seek professional mental health intervention. And the people who will stick with you through that period are the people that will ultimately stick with you for the rest of your life. Obviously, there are times when we could be nicer to the people around us. There are times when we could be nicer to ourselves. But life is long, and you don't always know at that particular moment that first of all, that you're making a mistake, because, you know, how possibly important could that TOEIC exam be? But also, what are the things that will actually change you and shape you into a better person? We've heard from my fellow speakers, you know, sometimes these are the things that shape us and you learn from them, like good Catholics. We've also heard that you sort of exist and there's nothing you can do about your own salvation, and it's just, so you might as well do it anyway, which of course is the Presbyterian belief. We cover all sides on our side of the house. What I think is nicest for those of you sitting on your side is that at the moment your mistakes feel really important and they probably feel like they're going to shape your life in some way. You've mentioned various scandals that kind of rocked through the Phil at different times, and oh my God, I'm not going to get into some of the ones that happened when we were under this roof because, well, the threat of legal action from Paddy Cosgrave is real. and eternal. I don't know if this is being live streamed, but please do get rid of that. The thing is, in our time in college, both in the Phil and outside of it, there were various things that happened, various mistakes that were made, and people genuinely thought were going to ruin their lives. And basically all of those people have nice lives and good jobs and things roll along. And some of that is because they learned, and some of it is because the GDPR introduced a right to be forgotten. But all of those things mean that you can learn from the mistake, or you can just delete it from history and hope that everybody moves on. But even I think when that happens, fundamentally, within yourself, you have learned a little bit because you've learned enough to be embarrassed. And that is potentially the most important thing of all. So would we make the same mistakes again? Look, if I hadn't gotten that boil, well, I've got a little scar on my cheek in the shape of a heart. And that's a conversational point when people get that close to my face, you know? And you'd be amazed at what a little scar in the shape of a heart, what kind of conversations that can prompt when someone is really that close to you. But more importantly, I can come back to this building and I can reflect on that kind of demented, deranged 19-year-old who really thought that everything that happened in this building was so disproportionately important to what the rest of her life would be, and was really that focused on all of those things because there was bigger, real problems that I couldn't really look at the time. And it did feel like getting 800 people to participate in the first round of Maidens was maybe an achievement and would maybe make up for the fact that at that stage in my life, I wasn't really ready to deal with or ready to look at. By going through that weird, obnoxious, strange, very realistically ugly phase, because the boil wasn't attractive, I got the people that allowed me to become a more adjusted, normal person, and critically allowed to be in charge of some critical national infrastructure. So make your mistakes. You're allowed to regret them, but no, you need to make them. Keep making them. And if you think that responding to a man sliding into your DMs is something you're ever going to learn from, well, it's a very long life.
Thanks to the Speaker for that very fine speech. I'd like to call on Brendan Ryan to close the case for the opposition. Here.
The way I thought of this debate was through the lens of time travel. So if you could go back, if I could redo my entire life, I was reborn in the year I was born in the year of my birth as a newborn baby. Would I redo my life with all the knowledge I have now and an opportunity to fix all of my mistakes? For the honorary members, this opportunity means they can stop the Hindenburg disaster or tell Eve not to eat the apple. But me, I'm doing a lot of things differently. So first thing I'm doing is I'm placing all of my savings on a bet on the World Cup. And the second thing I'm doing is losing everything because I misremembered the World Cup. And the third thing I'm doing is becoming a writer for The Simpsons and making all of my money back by making crazy accurate predictions. So you get the idea. I just go along my life making all of these decisions when I'm reborn. But I think at a certain point, I will start remaking the good decisions that I have already made. Like at the age of 8, I will decide once again to read the book that begun my love of learning, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul. This book made me start enjoy reading. It moved me up from the slow reading group, improved my English literacy, made me a far better student, and I think altered the trajectory of my life. At the end of 6th year, I will decide to study German in secondary school because German is a boy's language and French is a girl's language. And this will lead to me studying German in university and spending a year of my life in Germany. One time I Googled if life is more good than bad, and this is before AI, so Google did not tell me to join the IDF. It told me instead that life is mostly good, but bad things impact us more. The point is that a lot of the decisions we make in life are the correct ones. You are probably overestimating the amount of bad decisions you would change if you went back in time, because these bad decisions feel more impactful. This doesn't in any way prove my point, but I just thought it was interesting. Now I have some thank you. Now I have some jokes. We all have mistakes, and I think at the most immediate level we want to change them. I mean, Mr. Barrett worked for KPMG and RTE. He probably wishes he didn't spend his life working for acronyms. Work for real words, alphabet man. Miss Pressford made the mistake of being from Cork. Mr. Brendan O'Nolan probably has no regrets because he works for the Green Party. And just speaking Brendan to Brendan, I truly do love the Green Party. The only way I wouldn't vote for the Green Party is if they made a greener party. Good job. So now I transition here to my next point. The proposition is, I thought they would argue, that mistakes are the shadows that put our character in sharper contrast. I thought they'd argue that an image without shadow is an image without shading or depth. And go on.
We aren't confident enough to make that point.
Yeah, no, but I was hoping. And they say that mistakes make you more interesting and complex, so we should not try and avoid them. My issue with this is that I'm not saying that if we avoided making mistakes, we'd all end up flawless humans. I'm saying we'd end up making a lot of different mistakes. Like, imagine if you went back to 2017 and invested in Bitcoin. You would be fixing, before it blew up, you'd be fixing the mistake of failing to invest in Bitcoin, but you run the risk of becoming a crypto influencer and then losing all your money by investing in xoxo coin. Xoxo coin was coin. You're familiar? Oh, great job. Okay, never mind. So why these new mistakes I think are really great because they increase the bang for buck you get out of life. You were taking the road less traveled and the road more traveled. You're fighting for the pro-treaty side and the anti-treaty side. You're being unemployed and being whatever the hell the opposite of unemployment is. It's really good. So now to transition again to another point. All of you, for the moment, think about the biggest mistakes you have made in your lives. And all of you, if you could go back, how many of you would change them? Thank you. And the rest of you are lying. I would. My biggest mistake or regret is forgetting my first language of Amharic. Amharic is the language of Ethiopia. My mother is Ethiopian, and I lived there for the first 5 years of my life. I learnt it as my native language. My family then moved to Ireland, and in an effort to make me and my sister learn English, my parents only spoke English to us at home. And this meant that I forgot most of my Amharic. At the age of 10, it was pretty much mostly gone. And it was very upsetting to not understand one of the languages spoken in my own home. And some of you may think that forgetting Amharic was not a mistake because I was 5 years old and could not have the foresight to have predicted this. But it felt like a mistake for most of my life. So I think that if I had the opportunity to change it, I would. So since the age of 10, sure.
That was actually your parents' mistake.
Thank you for saying that.
Were they in the film?
They were not in the film. No. But it felt like a mistake. Anyway, there's no way you rang the bell during my sob story. There's Anyway, since the age of 10, I have been trying to relearn Amharic, and I'm at the stage where I'm reasonably competent at the language now. And if I was on the proposition, I'd make a point here about the process of relearning the language, despite the fact that it stemmed from a mistake, is actually a greater benefit to me than never having made the mistake and just having had the language the whole time. They'd probably make a point that my connection with Amharic and Ethiopia now is stronger because I chose to rebuild this connection. This is a profound and interesting point, but it does not trump the point that it would have just been better to have retained Amharic. Like, the happiness I get from knowing I chose to relearn a language is not greater than just being able to speak it, than being able to speak with my family and not experience a language barrier with half of my family. The proposition make more interesting points in this debate because their argument is going against your intuition. Mistakes are the definition of decisions that should not have been made. So if given the opportunity, you should change them. This is what your intuition tells you. The proposition, by saying the opposite of this, appears more interesting. But I ask you to follow your intuition. The simple answer is the right answer. Mistakes are bad, and if they are bad and we have an opportunity to change them, we should change them. That was a mechanism. Thank you all. That's all I have.
Thanks to that speaker for their very fine speech. With that, I'd like to open the floor to floor speeches. Is there any request for a floor speech from any of our members? I call on David Kelly in the front here. 5 minutes. I'd like to call on David Kelly.
Give me a second for my timer real quick. We'll see if this is a mistake. Good joke. I think maybe one thing when I was here listening to debate didn't really feel was touched upon is a lot of times I agree with side proposition. You know, we should make all the same mistakes again. But I think maybe in some ways, I don't think we should instrumentalize the pain of other people, right? We go through our lives, all the mistakes we make, we say, oh, I'm a better person because of this. But I feel like at the end of the day, you shouldn't feel like you should make their pain into something to be a better person. But maybe more so, I think also on the point of like better stories, great stories come from mistakes. I have a story for you for today. I always have a story for him. Liam knows, I always have a story to tell about me. Liam right there. The story, okay, it's my dad making a mistake, not me. So it's two things. Firstly, it's a joke he says. It's a bad joke, it's a silly joke, but he fucks it up. That's the second part of the story. Firstly, the joke, all right? Biggest swimming race of the year through the English Channel. It's called the Eurostar Swim. It's between two cats. An English cat called 1, 2, 3. A little mug in his hand, a little cup of tea, cool little cat. There's a French cat, on deux, trois. Baguette, smoke, cigarettes, chilling before the race. You know, French people are. Oh, ha, ha. They're here. They start, doing the race. Who wins the race? Any ideas? Any takers? 1, 2, 3, because on deux, trois, quatre, cinq. Ha, ha, ha. Great joke. My dad, though, God bless him, he sometimes messes up these jokes. He was here in the car, 8 p.m. Saturday night with the 5 of us. We're all in the car. And he tries to tell the joke, and he kind of ends up saying, he's like, 3 cats walking to a bar. Oh, no, wait, 2 cats. Hendo, trig, no. 1, no. How do you count to 5 in French again? On deux, trois, the cat can't see. We're like, Dad, you fucked it up. We start laughing at him. We're like, you're such a fool, you're such an idiot. And he gets really flustered about it. He sees a drive and he goes, you know what, I'll ring Thomas. Thomas is a 23-year-old man who told him the joke. This is 8 p.m. Saturday night. We're like, Dad, don't ring Thomas. Don't do it, please. It's a back and forth about 5-10 minutes. Like, Dad, don't do it. He's like, no, I will. Like, Dad, don't do it. He says, fine, I won't fucking do it. Fuck, I'm ringing Thomas. He starts ringing Thomas, gets on the phone. He dodges about a few foxes along the way so he doesn't bump into them. Yeah, he rings Thomas. He goes, hell yeah. Yeah, Thomas, yeah. Sorry, who's this? It's James. James from work. Oh, okay. What's the cat joke then? He goes, what? Fucking cat joke? It's 8 p.m. Saturday night. I'm already out for drinks. He goes, the cat joke. Thomas, he says a joke. You all laugh a little bit. All good. And I go to my dad's work the other day and I talk to Thomas. I'm like, Thomas, that was such a funny joke. Thank you for telling that to us. He goes, David, did your dad not tell you where I was? And I go, no. He said, David, I was breaking up with my girlfriend that exact same night. So my dad rings up this man. This guy goes, sorry, I just think we're going to work. I don't think we're really suited for each other. Give me a second. On the trois, quatre, cinq. Imagine being a girl in a situation. I don't really know what happened to her. God bless. But my point, though, is that was a mistake on the guy's part. Pick up the phone, call my dad, do all that stuff. But sometimes I think about the girl in that situation, right? She's here getting broken up with, and this guy just says some crazy joke. And to him, that's like, that's a growth moment, doing something crazy. But to her, my most devastating moments of her life. A lot of times I think that people build situations where they become better people after they don't realize the hurt they give to other people. I think the main reason why we shouldn't make all the mistakes again, we shouldn't make all the same mistakes again, is because we're better people, because you can't live your life in regret. If you make those mistakes, you think back on them, and you actually try to process them, feel all the emotions you feel, you're going to feel bad, you're going to feel down, you're going to feel like, I can't believe I did this to this person who was close to me, who was supposed to love, I can't believe this is a family member who's close to me, who was supposed to love. And you're going to live that for like days, weeks, months, feel down with yourself, like you can't get through day by day. The reason we should make all the same mistakes again isn't because you're going to be a better person, because you can't live your life in regret. Tomorrow's going to come, you have life left to live. The Phil is dead, long live the Phil. Hear, hear.
I'd like to call for an opposition speaker for floor speech. I call on the man in the front row there in the blue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Society. I hadn't intended to speak tonight, but I was quite inspired by the contributions from the people at the table. So, first of all, I'd like to open up by giving you a nice pat. You're such a wonderful audience. It's lovely to be here. It's certainly a thrill, and I'd love to take you all home with me. If anybody can give me the quote for that, you get a prize at the end. So, speaking from a perspective of someone who has a significant history of mistakes, or are they mistakes or merely ill-judged decisions? Someone said we shouldn't make mistakes. The man who doesn't make a mistake, the woman who doesn't make a mistake, has never made a decision in their life. It's an inevitable consequence of being a human. But I hope to bring to bear of some of the wisdom of somebody who left these hallowed halls in 1991 to bear. But first, let's give me some context about what's changed. It's a changed world. Who would have believed that it was safer to be alive in Europe during the Cold War? No one saw that coming. How Ireland has changed, Ireland's relationship with Britain. Who would have thought on that great day when President Robinson, who we see up here, a marvellous portrait over my shoulder, visited the late Queen Elizabeth in England. And I don't know if you remember that significance of that great visit and the huge bonds that grew between the two countries. And as with all things happen at a personal level, and mistakes were made then as well, as the carriage with the President and HMTQ in the back went down the mall, one of the horses let out an enormous fart. And the Queen was quite embarrassed. And she turned to President Robinson saying, "Mrs. Robinson, Your Excellency, I'm terribly sorry about that." And Mrs. Robinson, with all the diplomatic charm she could muster, said, "Oh, it's quite okay. I thought it was the horse." Trinity has changed a lot since I was here. It's far bigger. Student population is far greater. Well, I do believe its mystique is somewhat diminished, largely by the use of a North American academic vocabulary. Gone are junior, freshman and senior sophisters. Gone are Hilary, Michaelmas and Trinity. We now have terms, frequent exams and years and stuff like that. It's just not oblique enough, in my view. In my day, meeting somebody from a different background meant they were from Clare or Mayo and played GAA. Quite different nowadays. But there have been changes for the good. Schrodinger's name is gone from the engineering thing, but more about him later. We have 4 women's busts in the long room, long overdue, and a library named after the great poet Evan Boland, and a Linda, and a Cork Linda is provost. So these things are to be cherished. And the Phil has changed. My goodness, how the Phil has changed. There have been additions. There's wine being consumed. Openly. When the society was in its early 300s, the only way to get alcohol into this room was carried internally, and usually copiously. That meant there were some lively people at the back who gave unsolicited contributions from the floor. But I would notice that just because you're drinking in public doesn't make you big. You're in a college with 20,000 students and 1 licensed premises available to you. Shame on you all. And I have challenged in my meetings with Linda that she's got 10 years to open a second one, and with lower prices than the pubs outside, because, as a side note, all the pubs on the Pier Street used to be cheap as chips in my day because it was a dodgy area, and as Dublin has grown, they're all expensive tourist pubs, so hard luck. There you go. And the other thing I would say to the speakers, I have made some excellent contributions from both sides, but I have noticed that there's been a significant change in the definition of parliamentary language since my day. Some of the terms that were used here would have you paraded up to the junior dean and suitably chastised. And also, Gaelic was never heard. A beautiful Irish in this man here. In my day, unfortunately, it was Berla Clishta. a wine, och a wine. And by the way, I can see there's far fewer Protestants here tonight as well than there was in my day. Oh, you can tell. So what have we got to say? So I've lost my space here. So we've all made mistakes or ill decisions. Who cares? That's life. There's no right or wrong here. The modern tendency to reduce everything to a binary decision, you're for us or against us, it's far left or far right, it's yes or no. The world and the universe is far more subtle than we know. And Schrödinger showed that. The man who gave us the relativistic equation for the foundation of quantum mechanics shows that all things are possible. If anybody mentions a feline in a cardboard, they get a hit, okay? That's not the point. He showed us that all things can happen at all one time. Nowadays it's called supersymmetry, which the word super should make it more attractive to this generation as well. All things are happening at the same time. All the mistakes we ever made are happening now. They're happening in a multiverse somewhere. And we've made the mistakes and we've made the right mistakes. We've turned left and right at both times. That's the joy, the physics of the world we live in. There's no mistakes. Somewhere else, when you think you've made mistakes, there's another version of you in the universe that's made the right decision and they're bloody happy. So in the end of the day, it all balances out. So on that, I would say, for those people who think you should vote yes or no, I'd say forget that, call it a draw. And the important thing is, if you are going to learn from mistakes, don't learn from your own, learn from other people's. It's far more enjoyable. Thank you.
That very fine speech. I'd like to call for one more floor speech from, I call a man in the blue shirt.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm personally very in favour of making mistakes and learning from them. And there was one that Brendan didn't actually mention from his time in the Phil. And that was when he invited a fascist to speak. Before there was Ireland Was Full, there was Nick Griffin will come to the Phil and tell us all about why immigration is bad. He didn't mention that one, but I think we all learned that it was a bad idea because it had to be cancelled. But it did end up in a Sally Rooney novel as an anecdote. Yeah. Someone once said after the book came out, do you know, I've never felt a novel was so powerful and real to me. And I was like, Kira, it was literally our college experience. We started in the same year as Connell and finished at the same time. We were the Sally Rooney experience. But David, I don't know as well, but was dating the Secretary of the Hist a mistake? I don't know.
Shame.
I don't know. Yeah. Hannah's main mistake was obviously leaving Cork for Dublin, but she's still here. Yeah. My mistakes, I think, in the Phil started with that time I kissed the former president and felt very upset when he didn't text me afterwards. But I think that was okay because I've since seen him on Grindr, and he's into pissing on people. So I think I had a narrow mistake there. And that's not libelous because there were so many gay presidents of the Phil that it's impossible to say which one. Yeah. So there we go. Never assume anyone you meet in the Phil is straight. A few years ago, I bumped into someone I hadn't seen in a few years, and I said, it's so nice to see you out at Pride. It's always great to see allies out and about. And she's like, this is my girlfriend. I'm like, okay, must have been kissing Brendan that turned you. Okay, fair enough. I don't know. Sorry. But anyway, don't make so many mistakes that they become serious and that as a journalist, I might have to come and interview you about them. So a few months ago, I was giving this guy a call and I was like, hello, I am looking to do something about an interview on the mental health impact of the Troubles. And he was formerly in the Ulster Defence Association. And he said, yep, I have so many problems. You know, I was in prison for so long. And parked cars, I really cannot stand them. They really set me on edge. And I was like, okay. Can I do an interview with you? And he's like, absolutely, we'll do an interview. A few months later, I was like, okay, can I come up now? You're back from your holidays in Spain. He said, I'm sorry. Turns out I'm not allowed to speak to the press. It's against my bail conditions. So don't make so many serious mistakes that you're not allowed to talk to journalists, guys. So there you go. But overall, I would say the mistakes you might make in this building are generally quite fun. And you may even make some of the best friends that you'll ever have in your life, and maybe come back with them in 10 years' time. So stick around with the Phil, guys. I think it's a great experience.
and to all of our speakers for what was an excellent debate. Hear, hear. In a moment, I'm going to call this House to a vote. So you remember this, but I'll call for all those in favour of the motion to say aye, and all those against the motion to say nay. Before that, I'd like to remind everybody that there will be a post-debate reception and afters in the Duke. And I'd like to thank all of our honorary members for coming this evening. It's been wonderful to have you here. We hope you join us for pictures and drinks to come. With that said, all those in favour of the motion say aye. Aye. All those against the motion say nay. Nay. The nays have it.